Dr. Amar and Urmishri and Siddharth for raising those very interesting questions. Now we move to the next speaker, which is Shikha Maharshi. Her presentation on our is on the poetics of Dano and devotion of Ramdas's Daryata Bhakti Rasamrita. Um, Shikha is a research student. Hello, can you hear me? Shikha Maharshi is
Hello.
currently a doctoral scholar at the Department of English, Ravenshaw University, and is working for the she works for the Department of Higher Education, Government of Orissa. Her areas of interest include pre-modern Odia literature, Rajasthani literature, and vernacular literary cultures at large. So, welcome, Sikha, and
Hello, sir.
please make your presentation.
Hello, everyone. My paper is titled Poetics of Dano and Devotion in Ramdas's Dadeta Bhakti Rasamrita. And for today's discussion, I have divided my talk in three brief sections. In the first section, I do a brief survey of the idea of Dano in the Indian worldview at large. In the second section, I will be highlighting few instances of Dano and devotion in the select life stories of bhaktas spanning across millenniums in the text. So I choose Bali Raja's account from the Satyug, Harish Chandra Raja's account from the Dwapar Yug, Karna Raja's account from the Treta Yug, and two accounts from the Kali Yug. In the final section, I have tried to reflect on the poetics of Dano in relation to the idea of polite bhakti worldview. So, Shilpa, can you please display the first slide?
Will you share your screen?
Is my is the slide visible to everyone?
Yeah, begin.
Yeah. So these are the two important questions that I have been reflecting and trying to address in the paper, which is still in progress. The questions are, when does devotion transcend all limits of giving, sharing, and sacrifice? What drives bhaktas or devotees to persistently continue their practices of dana and devotion in spite of all kinds of struggles and hardships? So, in order to see how the bhaktas do it, one has to look at the life stories of these bhaktas, which I'll come to in a short while, before which I would like to quickly speak a little on the overall idea of dana, or dan as we call in Hindi. So, in Rig Veda, we have the idea of dana, and knowledge. The dana of knowledge is the most important kind of charity or dan that one can do. In Manusmriti, we have four kinds of important danas, which is dana of food, of lamp, that is gifting lamps to people to like lit their homes. Then gifting land is also a very important kind of dan. Gifting silver is also one of the most important kinds of dan that Manusmriti talks about. Interestingly, Bhagavad Gita, instead of looking at the materiality of dana, looks at philosophical questions which involve dan. One is there are these conditions that one has to abide by. One should think of performing dan or giving away donations or do charity only when they are in a position to do that after fulfilling all the responsibilities towards the family, kith and kin. Secondly, if one is performing the dan, it should be done without any expectation. Thirdly, the giver of the dan, or the data, should not expect anything in return once they do dan. Yeah. So, I mean, one should not think of dan as a favor done or a help given. That is, one should not make the receiver of the dan feel inferior or embarrassed. Next slide. Bhavishya Purana also has detailed concepts of dan, which are partly similar to the ideas of dan expressed in Manusmriti. Dana of wealth and knowledge and land are primary sources of dan. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah. So poetics of Dana and the polite forms of devotion in Dadita Bhakti Rasamrita. For this, we have to look at the kind of danas that the bhaktas give in the temporal millennial temporal divisions of time in the Hindu systems. The text, while recounting the lives of 55 saints and saintly people, historicizes the act of dana through the four yugas, namely Sat, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yuga. While doing this, the bhaktas who cross all limits of giving and sacrificing continue to maintain their faith as well as social status. Now, let us look at the instances of dana in the select stories. In the first account, from the Satyuga, Bali Raja, who was respected and revered by all his praja, all the people living in his kingdom, has to give away his life to Lord Vishnu, who comes as Vamana, and later on, after he sacrifices his own life, he is blessed because of the strength and grit, the dridta of his bhakti. Then from the Treta Yuga, we have Raja Harishchandra's account, where he ends up giving all his wealth, his kingdom, even his wife and son as dan, and later on is blessed with more bhakti, more grace, and he's given back his kingdom, wife, and son as well in the bid. In the third Charita, which is the Karna Raja's Charita from the Dwapar Yuga, we see how the archetypal, Karna is represented as the archetypal Dani, for which is already popular in the literary imagination in various Indian literatures. In this story, he has to give away his only son as Dana to Lord Vishnu, who arrives to test the strength of Karna. Lord Vishnu comes as a saint, adorning the Veshabhusha of a saint, and asks Karna for the life of his son as Dana. And Karna, being the archetypal Dani that he is, he does not refrain from sacrificing his son. Later on, his son is restored to life, and everyone receives the blessings from the divine. From the Kali Yuga section, I have chosen two accounts. One is that of Bhakta Ramdas. In this account, we get to see the tradition of not letting any visitor leave one's home hungry or empty stomach. In this story, what Ramdas does is that he mortgages all the belongings that he has in order to arrange for a sumptuous meal for the sadhus who have come to his house. And because he's not so in doing that, he is able to provide for a very healthy, very sumptuous meal to the sadhus, but then he is under heavy debt and he is totally uh, helpless because he's not able to do anything now. His wife is helpless, his sons are helpless, and it's a very bad state. But still, there's no sense of regret or complain or question in his attitude. He is happy with the mere fact that his family was able to feed the visiting sadhus. Finally, there's divine intervention, and he is saved by Sri Lakshman himself, who goes taking the form of Ramdas and clears all his dues and loans to the moneylender. Next slide. In Arakshita Das's account, we again see or encounter the polite tradition of serving the saints and the willingness to give away everything that one owns as dana. In this particular account, Raghu Arakshita Das encounters a very, very difficult situation where he has to send his wife to raise some loan from the rich local Mahajan in Puri near the Jagannath temple. And this Mahajan crosses all limits of decency and ethics and forces his wife to uh, compromise on her dignity, to which the wife, of course, raises objection and she returns back home. She shares the incidents with her husband, Raghu Arakshita, and tells that how can I do this? He simply tells her that you go and fetch the money required to feed the visiting sadhus. God will take care of you. You need not worry. Exactly, faith wins over logic, and she is saved from the onslaught of this Mahajan because when he visits her home at night, because the Mahajan sees the Vishwarupam form of Lord Vishnu and simply lays prostrate uh, at the feet of the wife, and she is completely saved. So this is how the text actually has account of 55 saints from all the yugas, starting from Satyuga to the Kali Yuga, but I have chosen only these five accounts just to highlight the idea that how Dan as a spiritual function evolves and grows in these stories. Dana doesn't remain a mere social charitable function. It surpasses all limits of giving and sharing when one doesn't even think twice before sacrificing either their own lives or the lives and lives of their own family members. So this is the kind of the world of bhakti that I have tried in my own little way to in this paper. Finally, I have tried to look at. I mean, I will be as my paper develops. I will try to look at the poetics of Dana in context of the polite world of bhakti or devotion that all these stories exhibit. The poetics of Dana that I tried to explain through brief instances from the text hint at the existence of an elaborate aesthetics of polite behavioral ideals that the practitioners of the Vaishnava faith exhibited in responding, reacting, and fulfilling the demands for Dana that are made to them. So, in order to understand the conjunction between the poetics of Dana and the polite world of devotion, one has to look at the social and historical situation in which the text Dadhita Bhakti Rasamrita was composed in the 18th century Orissa, in Ganjam. The Ramdas, the author of this text, himself came from a very illustrious family of Abhidanas or village schoolmasters who had a very long family tradition of teaching Sanskrit to the students in the village. And coming from that kind of a backdrop, Ramdas had a strong tradition of bhakti and practices of bhakti at his disposal. And that kind of an awareness is reflected in all the stories that we encounter in this hagiographical account of life stories of saint and saintly people in and around Orissa. And the second thing that I have looked at and I will explore further is the Kathopakathan Shaili, or the conversational style of uh, discourse that the text employs, where Chaitanya answers the questions that the inquisitive mythical king Sumana puts across to him. And each time, before answering or satisfying the queries of Sumana, Chaitanya asks him to be very alert and very receptive and humble in order to even listen and receive these stories, because otherwise Sumana won't be in a position to even understand or comprehend what lies in store. And all these pointers point towards a polite world of behavioral ideals that the stories in Dadhita Bhakti Rasamrita exhibit. And it is in this context that the poetics of dana, or donation, or charity, whatever word we can use, because dana is all encompassing, it involves so much more. Uh, with that, I would like to, yeah, so yeah, I have one more slide. The last slide, please, Shiba. Yeah, so I also thought of looking at the popularity of Dadhita Bhakti Rasamrita and the devotional continuum that the text has been propagating and leveraging since the 18th century, when it was composed. I was particularly interested because I found three printed editions of Dadhita Bhakti Rasamrita, which are all reasonably priced, popular editions. The first edition is by the very, very popular publication house called the Dharma Grantha Bookstore, very famous in Orissa for publishing and circulating texts of dharma and religious faiths. And very interestingly, this particular text started uh, circulating popular editions, cheaply priced, in all the nooks and crannies of villages in Orissa, which kind of made bhakti a very popular movement in the mid 90s, 90, so mid 90s, and 20th century. So that is one. Then there is another printed edition of this text, which is published from Ganjam, the very place where Ramdas was born. And the third is again a printed edition of Dadhita Bhakti in prose form. And that text is titled as Dadhita Bhakti Kathamrita. So these three printed editions hint at a very strong reception history of the text and the popularity of this text even now. And the second aspect that I found particularly interesting was the visual production of stories from Dadhita Bhakti in form of episodes, which are presently aired on the Prarthana channel in Odia. So these two kinds of uh, consumption patterns of the text highlight a continued demand for such stories, and hence and hence give opportunities for further research and reflection on texts like these. So with this, I would like to end my talk. Thank you.
I actually seem to have lost the system connectivity. And Siddharth, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear
Can you
you.
hear me, Siddharth?
Yes. Professor Datta, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Well, hello. Shikha, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay. Two questions. One, thanks for the paper. If I have got you right, what you're doing is bringing different instances of Dana being narrativized in the Dadhyata Bhakti Rasamrita. One, the question that I would like to, I mean, the query that I would like to send your way, which I would like to hear more on. Do you see the opposition, the opposite sentiment of Dana
Please
at
coordinate in the
work
meantime,
in Dadhyata
if you
Bhakti?
can hear me.
Hello? So what would be the opposite sentiment of Dana that you find in Dadhyata Bhakti at work? And if you pay a little, I mean, if you tell a little more about this opposite sentiment, that might also help to throw the work of Dana into sharper context or sharper relief.
Actually, sir,
Number-
to tell the truth, I haven't actually looked at the oppositional sentiments to Dano in the text. And I thank you for bringing this up because I can do that now. I can do that now as I progress.
Okay. Uh, the other thing that I would like to listen to more about is uh, the new productions that you're saying, which have
Yeah.
come up by Prarthana and others, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with.
Okay.
Do they do, and as you just said, that there's 55 stories.
Yeah.
Are all the stories equally popular? When the
No.
Prarthana is doing a televised
Okay.
series, do you find all the stories, they're doing all the stories one after the other, or they're picking certain stories above the others?
No, sir. The scheme involves visual production of each episode, 1 hour episode.
Okay.
It's a recital program. They don't offer commentaries or discussions as such. It's a if they have converted it. They have converted the stories in the form into songs,
Mhm.
1 hour songs. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, do they have dramatization, or is it a kind of the narrators telling about the story? Like we find, I mean, I'm familiar with the Lakshmi Purana telecast that Prarthana does, or even Sarthak does. So, is it something similar, a little bit of combination of both dramatizations and narration, or is it out and out narration?
No, it's a combination. It's a combination of both, and uh, there's a person who's singing it, and there are srotas sitting around him,
Okay.
kind of forming a mandala kind of a pattern, which was popular during the 16th, 17th century or so. So they try to create a make-believe world.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.